Hello, my name is Dan Carlton. I am a senior at San Diego State University, and I am doing a project on the webinar Minimum Payment After Debt Repayment Strategies Across Multiple Cards. The speakers in this webinar were Samuel D. Hirschman and Abigail B. Sussman. So credit card debt and interest. So US consumers hold about 808 billion in credit card debt in 2001. The median credit card interest rates are about 14.9%, but can go as high as 28%. So some debt payment strategies. So studies show that people would rather pay their credit cards in full because it simply feels better to do so. So rather than paying one in full, it'd be better to focus on the interest rates for those specific cards and split the payments to cards that have a larger balance. So in my words, this would be if you have 3 credit cards with the same minimum payments, let's say $25, some of those credit cards might have a 28% interest rate and some of them might have a 14% interest rate. And just by paying the minimum payment doesn't mean that you won't incur interest for that month in that total balance. So minimum payments versus no minimum payments. So just by paying the minimum payments, that can lead to people equally dispersing their money to pay off those cards. People are more inclined to pay off their different cards more evenly just by paying off the minimum payments. And the amount paid to the highest interest rate debt. So as he was talking, he was saying that there's a significant increase in more people not focusing on minimum payments when looking at their cards with higher interest debt. So the people that are just kind of blindly paying the minimum amount on their multiple cards are incurring a much higher interest rate overall. Overall, most of the consumers' decisions that are based on paying off their credit cards goes to the fact that consumers considered and view minimum payments as a suggestion. So they see that there's a minimum payment of $25 on their $1,000 credit card balance. Most consumers view that as just a suggestion. The bank is suggesting you to spend the minimum payment so that you don't incur a penalty, which is usually around $25. So by paying $25, you won't have to pay $25 extra, but you will incur the debt on that total balance of credit. So paper statements versus active choice. So he was saying that paper statements, which are just the statements that you receive from the bank, the paper statements, people that are basing their debt payment strategies off of those paper statements think that their bank is losing more money on interest. So by doing what the bank is telling them to do, which is listening to the paper statement, they're incurring much more interest on the money that they're borrowing versus active choice. People that are actively strategizing on paying off their debt by making the choice themselves, have saved money on the debt they incurred. And my kind of final thoughts on this, which I thought was extremely interesting and extremely valuable for my generation, was as long as you're not blindly paying off your credit card debt, assuming that you have multiple credit cards or even a credit card, but as long as you're not just blindly paying off your credit card debt, you can significantly be borrowing money from credit card companies for a much lower cost. So credit cards are pretty much a bank giving you permission to spend a certain amount of money with the idea that you don't have it at the time, so you can borrow that money and slowly pay it off over time. And the people that are actively strategizing on paying off that credit card debt is spending a significantly less amount of interest on the debt that they're incurring. Thank you.